Welcome back to the show. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $2.08 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 0.8%. Bitcoin, 56,400 plus, 2,300 plus for Ethereum. USD Tether is 117 billion plus market cap. USDC is 34 billion plus. Number 7 spots XRP at 54 cents. We're off by 0.1 in the 24 and off by 4.3 on the 7-day. The whole market is off, but let's look at the range of price between 55, 56 cents. XRP is pretty much flat, trading the way it normally does. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Trump family crypto project vows to ensure dollar's dominance. Okay. What's going on here? World Liberty Financial to focus on U.S. dollar stablecoins. The exact details of the project have yet to be fully shared, but we know that the cryptocurrency project that's being promoted by Donald Trump and his sons is starting to take shape with the focus on encouraging dominance of the U.S. dollar in decentralized finance. And we don't know much more than that, so I don't have to read the rest of it to you, but it sounds like it's different. It's not sneakers and it's not NFTs, right? So we'll see where this goes here. But, you know, there is a lot of news happening, so let's keep this moving. Look at this. Oh, I found this to be very interesting this morning. Breaking, Uniswap will pay $175,000 to the CFTC and agree to cease and desist for violating the Commodity Exchange Act. Now, what's interesting about this is that I had to give this to you. When the news broke, the first thing that hit me was, could this be a signal that the Harris camp is pushing crypto legislation, forcing the CFTC to tie up these open cases and matters that happen to be out here for them to put it through? All I can say is, even if the Biden-Harris team put crypto legislation through before the election, which would be in the next, let's say, 45 days or so, if that were to happen, they won't get my vote even if they do it, because they spent so many years suppressing crypto so the central monopolists, the legacy players in the financial system, could have favor over this space. So they won't get my vote if they do pass crypto legislation, because it's only because their own political careers are in jeopardy. That's something we really need to keep a point of, right? You know, but nonetheless, this is really quick, not to mention the fact that there's a lot more to go after than just this cease and desist, right? It is very suspect, ladies and gentlemen. Then there's this. It doesn't bode well that nearly all crypto ETF issuers have the same custodian for their Bitcoin and ETH ETFs. This makes Coinbase a potential single point of failure, and that's scary. And Eleanor Terrett's right. So, this is case in point for why the SAB 121 rule at the SEC should be repealed. The SEC is discouraging federally regulated banks from custodying crypto, narrowing the custodian pool, thus making them more centralized and potentially vulnerable. The government should want a federally regulated custodian for crypto, surely. This is a fantastic point from Eleanor. And then we can't forget about this. JP Morgan foresees the decrease in use of USD Tether with upcoming stablecoin regulation. Again, I have said multiple times on this channel, this space is not going to look the same in a very small period from now. We have a small window that this space looks the way it does, and not too long from now, and I'm telling you, legislation's coming, whether it's coming from this administration as a last-ditch effort Hail Mary for votes, or it's going to get done with the new administration. So we're getting it. The question is what is it going to look like when they get it, when we do get it? Remember, this is the same Congress that screwed up the definition of broker-dealer. But we have to wonder what is going to happen to USD Tether. Smoke Dog makes a fantastic point here. He says, big statement from the top of the financial food chain. Regulations put indirect pressure on Tether's attractiveness. This is how Real USD will take over Tether's market share of stablecoins. The Real USD, which is backed by regulated entity like Ripple and operates on its own blockchain XRP ledger, would be well positioned to capitalize on the shift in the market with a high level of regulatory compliance, transparency, and adherence to new standards. The Real USD will become more attractive to institutions and investors who are increasingly worried of Tether's opaque asset disclosures and weaker regulatory standing. The time is ticking for Tether. This is a fantastic point. And just coming back to the Real USD, think about it. Let's talk about USDC for a second. And I think Smoke Dog made this point in a different post. USDC doesn't have its own blockchain, right? But the Real USD does. And in complement to the Real USD on the XRP ledger and Ethereum network, you also have access to XRP. So there is an advantage, I see, once we get regulation, surely, for the Real USD to stand out like no other stablecoin that's here currently. I really do believe that. And the conversation deepens. We covered this yesterday, but I want to highlight this because you have to consider this. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis, who, by the way, needs to show her support for John Deaton in Massachusetts because the person she put support behind was the Nikki Haley of Massachusetts, was selected by Senator Elizabeth Warren, and he got less than 10% in the Republican primary. So will Cynthia Lummis come out and support John Deaton, who is now the Republican winner, and will be debating Elizabeth Warren, and he will win as senator in Massachusetts. And I will do everything in my power to make sure it's so. But looking here, the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Bill that she submitted, only viable solution that positions us to cut our national debt in half by 2045. Sign into law, she says. You know, there has been something to say about the fact that there's only 21 million Bitcoin, right? And so the price could conflate very quickly. This is going to be interesting to see if this takes shape and actually does become some kind of stockpile or reserve asset. Take a look at this. The latest in the SEC versus Ripple case, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to James Filan here. He says Ripple has filed a letter requesting a stay of monetary portion of the court's judgment entered on August 7th, 2024. The SEC has consented to the request for a stay. Now, essentially, Ripple has formally submitted a request for a stay of the monetary component, the fine, right, of the court's ruling. The SEC has granted approval to the stay request. So what are we left here with? We'll see. Means Ripple is placing the $125 million in escrow. If the SEC does not appeal, the funds will be released upon the deadline's passing. Essentially, if the SEC refrains from appealing, Ripple will let them receive the funds. This arrangement serves as insurance for Ripple. The SEC has consented to these terms. So essentially, what it really means here, Ripple wants to appeal the decision, which means they want another court to review if the judgment was fair or correct. During appeals, usually the losing party still has to pay or provide a big bond, like a guarantee payment. But here, they've agreed on this alternative with the SEC. Good or bad for Ripple? Good aspects are cash flow. Ripple doesn't have to immediately pay a large sum, which helps their cash flow. This can be crucial for business operations, especially for a company like Ripple, which might need liquidity for its projects or operations. Appeal opportunity. This gives Ripple time to appeal without the immediate financial burden, potentially overturning or reducing the judgment if they win the appeal. Bad aspects are interest. They still have to pay interest on the amount, which means the total cost might increase over time. Legal costs, managing this process, including setting up a fund, legal fees, might still be costly. Uncertainty. There's no guarantee they win the appeal, so they might end up paying anyway, potentially with added cost. Overall, Neutral to slightly positive for Ripple. This is generally a good move in short term because it preserves their cash flow and gives them a chance to appeal without immediate financial strain. However, the long-term outcome depends on the appeal's success. If Ripple believes they have a strong case for appeal, this strategy buys them time and resources to fight on. If not, it delays but doesn't eliminate the financial obligation. This approach is quite common in legal disputes, especially where large sums are involved, allowing companies to continue operating while legal matters are sorted. Now, we also have to understand that the SEC could appeal. It doesn't have to be Ripple that appeals. And in fact, the very point that we know that the SEC has granted approval to the stay request literally means one of two things. The SEC is undecided about whether they're going to appeal and has granted the approval for the stay request, or the SEC has decided that they're going to appeal and has granted the approval of the stay request. Ripple has pretty much made it clear that they're ready to pay the fine and move on. So maybe they do have a change of heart. Maybe they found something that they're like, you know what? We're going to go to the wall with this. And look, they've come a long way. I firmly believe if we don't get legislation, this case goes all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, we could get legislation that puts it to bed immediately, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, it's a big time we're in right now, and we're going to see not too long from now. I went over yesterday 62 days, the next 62 days in crypto, and the 5 big things we have to watch out for. And the appeal is one of them. We already know that the fine has been put into escrow. So now we're waiting. The launch of the real USD in weeks, not months. So it's 7 weeks at most, because it would be months if it's 8 weeks, right? So this is getting very exciting to me. The launch of the real USD is going to be massive. And will we get crypto legislation and a rope-a-dope move by the Harris team under Biden right now to gain favor at the voting booth? I tell you, this is a pretty remarkable moment we're in, ladies and gentlemen. And I remind people of Egg Rag Crypto and his latest post. This is powerful, I find. The fact that there was a cycle A and a cycle B. And we went over this yesterday. But the fact that there was a cycle A and a cycle B. However, because time has passed by, cycle B no longer applies. So, cycle A is looking very, very sexy right now to all of us, and certainly Egg Rag Crypto. So this is something we're going to have to watch closely. And if cycle A does play out, then we're going to see something very similar to 2017, 2018 bull run, but from the price that we're at today. Not where we were at in 2017. And I couldn't be more excited to witness it and experience it with every single one of you. We're going into the freedom zone, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to come with us today. Oh, boy. A bunch of stuff. You're going to want to stay with it. You're going to want to be in here. I can tell you that. We're going in right now. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Go to digitalperspectives.com, click the freedom zone, and come on in. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's go.